on the other.
Any opportunity you get.
Yeah. I mean, that's why you're not commentating the next game, isn't it? Because you're off down to the local cafe to get the coffees in.
I'm off getting Bruno a Father's Day present.
Thought so. Anyway, back to normality, or as close to it as we can probably get. Sunshine's going to our heads, Frank, and it's only week 1.
Yeah.
Got another 2 weeks of finals yet.
On a serious note, I think this is an opportunity for coaches to see what players they may want to be retaining next year as well. And I think it's a real opportunity for players to put their case forward and let the club know that they either want to be here or put themselves in the shop window as far as a move somewhere else goes. This is the way you're going to have to approach it, I think, because otherwise these aren't going to be anything more than almost like a pre-season friendly, I think, Ross. Or
perhaps a point
post-season friendly.
Perhaps a point to prove for Canberra Olympic as well. This is not the half of the draw that they would have envisaged themselves being in when the season started. But they finished 6th on the campaign ladder, and they're out there in the bottom 4.
Yeah,
and they'll be there to shot at as well, I would imagine.
Yeah, and you can already see that Selden's deployed himself in the middle with Barisic out on the left of the Woden-Weston attack, and De Silva, Yuli's son, on the right.
In possession at the moment. An early ball into the area. Popovic, formerly of Woden. Ihegi. Needs a big game, you'd think, today, so say Ihegi. Popovic. You were at that game at Melrose last week. Frank, how stung were Canberra Olympic to lose that game? Obviously, and the body language after they were, they found that they went 1 behind and they needed 4 goals.
Yeah, and I think that the lack of registration for Tim Bobolas that cost them a point was a very pivotal moment for the season for Olympic as well. They hadn't done themselves any favours, but at the same time, the fact that they needed to win by a certain amount of goals instead of just needing to win, I think that had a very big effect on them.
We'll see how they get up and going today, if they can lift themselves for this. Ihegi stretching himself out already.
I've already had a message from Daniel Sparrow saying he'd make a difference to this team right at the moment, and he would.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think there's any question about it. His injury really disrupted their season as well.
And even the way he did it, trying to save a ball off the line against Gungahlin just speaks volumes of the never say die attitude.
Barisic swings it across. The flag goes up, though, just offside. That was the first involvement for Roy Anderson, who scored his first 2 Premier League goals last week.
And Ihegi is looking at his hamstring a couple of times, Russ, you're right.
He didn't go after that ball that Popovic put down. He's tried to stretch them out a couple of times out of your shot, so keep an eye on that for us, Frank. Here's Jay Kelly. Ihegi. To squeeze it through a gap that was non-existent. Here's Anderson. Barisic. Invites Selden down the left flank. Busy player, Jay Selden. And dance his way into the penalty if he can. Lindstedt up against him, and just a bit too much in the end from Selden, but nice to see the ambition. He
was outstanding last week, Russ. I didn't know much about him before the game, but did a bit of research after, and I thought, he's one that definitely Woden be looking to keep if they can.
Yeah, he's only played 5 starts this season and 2 off the bench. He came off the bench in the first round, formerly at the FFA Centre of Excellence, I think, when they played in the NYL competition.
And it looked like he was an under-17s Australian Socceroos as well, with a couple of local boys in young Fletcher and Ben Hobbs as well.
Certainly it brings dynamism to this Woden-Weston front 3. Canberra Olympic come into the game off the back of 4 winless games. The last time they failed to win 4 games was in 2013. 1 loss and 3 draws from round 11 through to round 14. Won the grand final that year, Frank. Robbie Schroeder with a brace.
Yep, that was the year before I joined.
In that run, they lost 1-0 to Canberra FC as they were then. Drew 0-0 with Monero, drew 3-3 with Tuggeranong, and drew 1-1 with Woden Valley.
Yeah, we were talking about that during the week, Russ, and that was when they had 3 rounds for the season, and I think Olympic were off to a bit of a flyer and led the competition by around 6 points, and then ended up going through a bit of a patch where they couldn't pick up points. But they bounced back and obviously won the grand final.
Woden-Weston on the attack, but Kelly's going to pick up the loose ball. Finds Ehegi. Matulu in midfield. Runs into Vlaslovsky. Anderson. There's space for him to try and work something with Paisler. De Silva wide. Woden's win at Melrose last week was their first in 10 attempts against Canberra Olympic. It was the first time that Woden-Weston had ever scored 3 in a game against Olympic in 16 matches. All sorts of records set last week.
Yeah, Canberra Olympic, we tended to always seem to draw Woden in the FFA Cup qualifiers around quarter-final time. I think we went through a run of about 2 or 3 seasons where we're continually drawing Woden at the quarter-final stage as well.
It's Chris Ray. Dominici.
And you can see Dominici and Popovic has swapped roles every now and then as well.
Tried to squeeze it through. De Franceschi got rid of it. Lindstedt should be able to bring this down to Jay Kelly. It was a surprise, a 3-1 loss last week. Olympic had scored 42 times in the previous 10 games against Woden before that. And their finishing this year, Frank, was the lowest league position since finishing 6th in 2010. They were also 6th in 2002, and Olympic had never been lower than 6th since the turn of the millennium, so it was a bit of a surprise for them to find themselves in the bottom half.
Yeah, look, I guess, Russ, I think if before we started the season, if you said to me, who are the teams that would be contesting in the bottom 4, I don't think it would have suggested Olympic would have been anywhere near that. Look, bit of a changing of the guard here at the squad and how they'll go about different things. So, like I said, this is a real opportunity for players to demonstrate to Robbie and the committee that they actually want to be here next year or not.
Barisic swings it in. De Silva's peeled off the back here and did win the header. I think perhaps the problem could be for Canberra Olympic this year, and you've been through most of these games with us, Frank, as well, is their discipline. It's been quite poor. 18 yellow cards, 1 red card and 5 temporary dismissals in only 7 matches, and that says something, doesn't it?
It's not great, is it?
And is that a product of the frustration, or is it vice versa? Have a think about that, and whilst this attack plays out, Lindsted's header back, and it should be okay for Larkin.
Oh, look, no doubt. I mean, if the team's struggling, then you're more than likely to become frustrated and do things that you normally wouldn't do. So it's a bit of a test of some of the senior players and their leadership. It's pretty easy to be a good leader when things are going well. It's when the chips are down, when you actually need people to step up. That's when you really need those senior players to excel.
Popovic with Anderson battling, and Anderson tried to shield it out, and Popovic has done well to win a corner here. First set piece of the afternoon, and a chance for Daniel Lindstedt to lend his considerable height to the attack. Lars Ulrich, playing in a more advanced role, will no doubt be in there as well.
Yeah, interesting, Woden have left 3 players up front for this corner as well, which allows them, that if they do get the ball clear, to break quickly with numbers.
Ehegi to deliver towards the back post. Ulrich won the header. There's no one in a blue shirt anticipated where the ball was going to drop. De Franceschi was managed to get rid of it. Keisha swings it wide. Good ball out there as well. Dominici's little flick. Matulu can start again. Here's Southam. Joe Boak wins the header, and Miguel De Silva has a little bit of space in which to work. Runners ahead included Selden, but a good stretch from Jordan Keisha to concede the throw.
I think the promising thing with Olympic at the moment is that they've got a number of juniors coming through. You've got Southam and Keisha, who have both played Olympic since under 13s or so. But 2 of the guys on the bench in the shape of Cale Brown and Bailey Sorensen have both come through the juniors at Olympic as well. So that's a real promising thing for the club. the big task for them now is to retain these sort of players. And Dilla Tolu is actually another player who played under Peter Marzi from 14s up through to sort of 18s at Olympic.
Heggie wins the header. De Franceschi for the Wanderers. 2 wins in a row for Woden-Weston against Tigers and Olympic. It's the first time they've won 2 in a row since the opening 2 fixtures of last year, when they beat Belconnen and the Rhinos. Kept clean sheets in both those games. And found a bit of form. So there's a study in patience for Yuli De Silva and his team after the horrible start to the year where they failed to score for 440 odd minutes.
And yeah, I mean, this is where you come back down to, what could have been for Woden if the season went for the full complement. He's obviously, Yuli's built a squad now that's now starting to get confident. They're working well together. They're troubling a lot of teams. Had they had another 10 games to go, could they have actually, qualified for something a bit more than this bottom 4?
Just a good point. That 2-0 win over Tuggeranong was Woden's first clean sheet, though, since they played Tigers in 2019. Heggie tries to weave his way into the penalty area. Some half-hearted appeals for a penalty from the crowd more than anything. He's taken on McEwen here, and there he's got a knock again, and he's tightened up, and you can see the left hand on the back of the hamstring. Doesn't look like he's running too freely, Frank.
No, he's not moving anywhere near his best, I would suggest, Russ. I guess the one advantage that they do have at Olympic is if that is a substitution that they do need to make, then Tim Boblis would probably just come straight into right back, and Jay Kelly just push forward into a right wing position.
And Kelly's over the set piece. You saw him in goal at Melrose earlier in the season for a 10-minute spell when Rory Larkin had 10 minutes in the naughty chair. The clash between Vlaslovsky and Ulrich is worth watching on the back post. As Kelly swings in, good delivery that, and Dominici won the header. And Vlaslovsky has managed to clear it. Itulu with a decent looking ball in the end, and Popovic read it nicely. Really difficult to get any power on that, though.
And Popper would have been one that's graced his field a number of times in his Monero days, especially as a junior. Obviously, Riverside has undergone a major facelift since then. But, yeah, interesting. That son's going to play havoc with the goalkeeper down that end, Russ, I'd suggest.
Here's Chris Ray, 47 minutes of action he saw yesterday. That was enough to get the winning goal, and he's bent one towards the far post. And player with a bit of confidence in his veins. Not a bad effort at all. Yeah,
well, the winner that he scored yesterday is obviously going to drive him onto bigger and better things as well. So, yeah, he's not going to be shy and take a pop if the opportunity presents itself, and he hits the ball very, very well.
I think William Lejeune probably had that covered, though. Not enjoying the sun there, Frank.
You or William?
Well, you. I'm thinking you're looking uncomfortable, mate.
No, I was looking to see if it was in the keeper's eyes.
Here is Ray again. He's got an opportunity to turn. I mean, we have commentated in some terrible weather this season, haven't we? It's nice to be in short sleeves.
Yeah, I think we'll take this over the minus 37 that we had at Melrose that time.
That's easy for Rory Larkin. A reminder that next week's matches on Bar TV, all 4 games you can watch, of course. You can join myself and Grace Gill on Saturday at 1:30 at Deakin Stadium, Belconnen United versus Tigers FC. Then myself and Frank Keisha, 3:45, same venue, Canberra, Croatia versus Gungahlin United. And back here Sunday, at this time next week, we'll be watching Woden-Weston again against Monero Panthers, followed by Tuggeranong United versus Canberra Olympic. All the action of the WNPL final series final series coming up as well. Heggie switch. Keisha brings it down. Southam chip forward, but it was a fairly aimless ball, and Vlaslovsky can pick it up, and he's giving it away as well to Itulu. Scrappy at the moment, neither side managing to really put their mark on it. They might now with Dominici. Sliding tackle from McEwen had to be made. Had to be timed right as well.
Yeah, good little ball there, finding the 9. interesting that went to ground. McEwen, he could have easily given away a penalty there, just if the ball gets played into his arm.
Popovic, a Heggie, punchy pass to Dominici, who tries a little chip on the turn. Didn't get enough of it to trouble the goalkeeper. 4 goals this season from Stephen Dominici.
And this is actually in quite a big contrast to last week, Ross. Last week, Woden had a fair share of possession and a fair share of the territorial advantage as well, but this is largely getting played in Woden's defensive half.
Might not be now as Barisic flicks it on towards Selden. That's a good covering tackle from Daniel Lindstedt. Selden and Barisic furthest forward. Here is Selden. Quick feet, tries to squeeze a pass down the line. Dominici's got away from Di Franceschi here, and he's got away from Lachlan Fields as well. Has he got the pace and the skill to get in the penalty area? He certainly does, and he looked for Ray rather unselfishly.
I'm surprised he looked for the pass there. He's done all the hard work.
At the other end, here's Jackson Paisler. And Barisic outside. He's got the run on Jay Kelly. In towards Selden. Chance for Woden-Weston. Selden lays it back. Payless to the strike, takes a deflection. And came off Michael Southam, who's really felt that. Not sure where it's hit him, but is he holding his arm?
Looks like it, yeah.
Chances at both ends.
Yeah, and that was a big opportunity for Stephen. He's done all the hard work. He's rolled Di Franceschi on halfway, beat him again. When the time came to either pull the trigger or find someone, he's looked for Chris Ray, and it's been cut out by the defender. And
Paisler's got that shot all wrong. It'd be interesting to see whether there will be covetous eyes from other clubs looking at Jay Selden for next season, or whether Yuli De Silva can keep hold of him. Looks a handful.
Look, there's going to be a few players, and a lot of it depends on what happens with the circumstances around restrictions and things like that, Russ. Because obviously Mate Barisic was playing in Melbourne. I'm sure that if the opportunity comes up again next year, he'll go back. But if he's in Canberra, then a number of clubs should be looking at him. He's a very good addition to any squad, and you'd suggest there's a few players like that in this lineup.
Well, Paisler's knocked it through, and Selden gave himself up actually as offside. And that's not to say that Woden-Weston won't keep all of them if they're here and build on this as well.
Well, Yuli's, from what we've seen on the outside, the culture at the club looks to be thriving under Yuli's mentorship. So some players will obviously be attracted to that as well. So not only will they hopefully retain these players, they might be able to attract even some others.
Selden back winning the tackle. Does well to find Barisic. He's made the run forward as well, Selden. He might get on the end of this. It's a good ball from Barisic. Chance for Selden to lift it over Larkin, but he couldn't quite find the execution he needed. Nice move. Perhaps should have had a better finish. Probably should have.
He had time to get that on target. It's a couple of times now Olympic have been caught in possession, just dwelling on the pass. Lindstedt when Selden was caught offside, and then Lars Ulrich just there in midfield. They need to address that and just step up the urgency a bit.
Ball's played through. It's too far. Kelly with the throw. Barisic plays it forward. No one there in a Wanderers shirt though. So, I always give you one stat per week. Got one for you today.
Per week or per game?
Per game.
Per game.
So last week, Roy Anderson became the first Woden-Weston player to score 2 in a league match since Aleid Yinka Kahain did in a 2-3 loss to Canberra FC in round 17 2018. The last Woden-Weston player to score twice in a win before that was Martin Deng in round 9, 4-1 win against the Rhinos in 2018.
There you go.
So Roy Anderson becoming part of a fairly exclusive Woden-Weston club there.
Yeah, absolutely, and took both his goals very well. And to be fair, there were more opportunities for Woden to actually go further ahead in that game, especially at the end. When Olympic were down to 10 men.
Haven't had the best of times in this fixture, the Wanderers, over the years. When they were playing under the Woden Valley name before they rebranded, they did win the first 4 of these contests in the 16 games played. Haven't won one since. Maybe should have kept the same name.
I actually didn't mind facing Woden in those games. The large majority of those, I think, were when I was in charge of Olympic.
Well, swung in towards the far post, and it's going to be easy for Chris McEwen.
But there's no reason why this club can't build from this. Like, you know, they've made the top four before when they were under Daniel Greenwich, and it was Woden Valley. The name change shouldn't make a difference. It's now just a matter of, like we said, Russ, retaining players and maybe attracting some new ones.
Having to put a bit of sun cream on here, Frank. Burning on one side of my face. British skin on me. Haven't got the Mediterranean olive tones of my co-commentator.
Yeah, the viewers don't see this behind the camera, but there's someone actually putting sunscreen on for us
and massaging Frank's shoulders while he's commentating. Well, nudge it in the back by De Silva because
you might have to
free
get
kick
off your recliner so they can get your shoulders, Russ. The funny thing is, you can maybe jib me about Bruno once or twice. I can make this last a whole month. I'm telling you.
The difference is though that the thing about you and Bruno is the truth. You're just making everything up. Here's Kelly advancing forwards, tracking back by Paisley, but Kelly's got the best of him at the moment. Good run this from Kelly. Good cut back as well, and Fields defends it for the Wanderers. And here's far as Popovic though. Itulu with the forward dart, and Paisley sees him out of play.
Yeah, magnificent run there from Jay Kelly. Really pinned the ears back, took on the defender, got himself in the box. Wasn't a bad cut back at all, just couldn't find the Olympic player there.
Selden with Kelly, who won the header. Barisic pops it forwards. Ulrich found Kelly, and it's an ambitious left foot ball forward to chase for Chris Ray. Joe Boakes across as well to help cover. How hard is it for someone like Chris Ray? Played 47 minutes yesterday. Possibly wasn't expecting to start today. Maybe he was, and that's why they took him off at half time. But how hard is it to get back up again after you've played in the top four final series?
Look, to be honest, I mean, I think he'd be fine. If I was a young kid like him and I had the opportunity to start first grade with some of these players around me and give myself an opportunity to be seen, you'd be champing at the bit, especially after you scored, the goal yesterday to put your side through to 3 points in that final series of 23s. I think he'd be fine. He might tire, but from what I've seen over the last couple of years with Chris, he's got a good engine.
Itulu swings it into the area. Pill for handball. Popovic on the turn. A big pill from Canberra Olympic, led by Stephen Dominici. No real surprises.
Yeah, got himself in an awkward position there. I think it was Di Franceschi, and it looked like it might have struck his arm there.
Curtis Schaefer on this near side, the assistant. Played for Brindabella yesterday. Tells me they lost. Was in the under-23s. Was naughty boy the other week. Curtis Schaefer got himself sent off for 2 yellow cards.
I coached Curtis at Monero in the juniors for a couple of years. Good player.
Got some good pace about him, hasn't he? As a striker.
He can definitely find a goal.
This is his day job though. Masquerades as a striker for the Brindabella Blues. Paisley tries to send it through. I did ask him if he questioned the ref by the laws of the game about his second yellow card. Point to me on the spot where it was. Too much respect for the officials there. And
this will be an interesting challenge for Daniel Lindstedt as well. This will be the first time that he'd be seen as a senior player in that back four at Olympic. Usually you'd have a Calabria or a Ulrich there. This is his opportunity to marshal the defence and talk up and show some leadership.
Keisha wins the ball and goes off on a run. 1-2 with Ray. Fields came across to stop him. And that was a good foot in as well. An important toe from Lachlan Fields as Olympic looked to break. Halfway through the first half here at the Riverside. No score between Canberra Olympic and Woden-Weston.
And good to see both Olympic fullbacks getting forward too, Russ.
There hasn't been a huge amount of chances of note, but it's quite an open game, isn't it? There seems to be a fair bit of space on the field, and that's a sliding challenge through the back of Jay Selden by Michael Southam. And he's got himself a yellow card and will become the 19th yellow card this season. Not much argument about that one.
No, but this is a chance now for Linstead to show some leadership and talk Michael through the next 10, 15 minutes and make sure that he doesn't fall into the trap of giving it away something again a bit more serious that might see him compromised in his ability to finish the match.
They've got a free kick. Boak swings it in. Vlaslovsky is an obvious target. Comes for Barisic. Looks to chip it over the head of Kelly. Couldn't quite get it. Waitulu. Southam's ball. Chance for Linstead. Bit of space for him to stride forward if he wants to. Gives that possession to Waitulu instead. Finds Chris Ray, who'll take on Joe Boak. Dominici square. Looked at it from distance, did Stephen Dominici briefly. Paisley comes out on top of that midfield battle with the Tulu. Bit tight in the middle at the moment. McEwen's ball forward. For a moment there, I thought Dominici was going to unleash from distance.
Yeah, and that's a few times now that Olympic have been caught in possession, just dwelling, not making a decision quickly enough, and allowing Woden to come and close them.
Di Franceschi. Looks for De Silva. Good ball that over the head of Cation. That's a decent touch from the fullback. Needed to be. As De Silva threatened to sneak in behind. They've given it away again though, Canberra Olympic, to Selden, and Linstead with the challenge on this occasion. Barisic finds Paisley. Ball forward to McEwen. Nice header wide from Anderson. Change of direction of the attack with a header to De Silva. Now Boak. Vlaslovsky finds Boak again. Anderson chips it in towards Barisic. He's going to retrieve this, Mate Barisic. Back to Paisley. Good period of possession this for Woden-Weston. Patiently looking for the opening. McEwen to Boak. Just a quick injection of pace on, finds De Silva. And couldn't quite keep it in play. Lots of passing, lots of movement though. Be encouraging for Yuli De Silva, and the fact that they didn't just launch it in the area. No,
and that's probably a bit of a warning there for Olympic. There was a false pass from Chris Ray that sort of ended up from halfway back to Jay Selden, and then that 2-minute of possession all came from that. Jay Selden's getting some attention there.
Just walked off, hasn't he, to see what's going on. Woden down to 10 for the time being.
Might be feeling the effects from that Michael Southam tackle, I think, Russ.
Yeah, hopefully that's not terminal for him, because he's been a bright spark so far.
I don't think he's dead.
Well, you know what I mean. Terminal for the game.
He might have just lost a bit of bark, I reckon, off his knee.
Ehegi stretches the legs past McEwen. This will be a test for the hamstrings. For Ehegi. Up against Vlaslovsky, who's happy just to prod it out for a corner. Selden getting some running repairs on the halfway line.
Life support.
It's not quite that bad, I don't think. Graze to the knee. Bit of strapping on it, he'll be fine. It's a corner for Olympic.
Olympic will want to be aware where Selden actually comes back on, just to make sure they do pick him up.
That's the coaching in you, isn't it?
Just a little bit.
Ehegi with the set piece. Can he find a blue shirt? Swings it in towards where Ulrich wins it. Couldn't direct it on target though. Is a unchallenged header though from Lasse Ulrich, but just jumped a little bit too early.
But even if that gets on target, because of the pace or the lack of pace from that corner, Russ, it's hard to get any sort of power onto those headers that can beat a good level goalkeeper.
of which Willem Lejeune is one.
Absolutely. He's made a big difference to Woden, and that's no disrespect to the young kid that was in there before, but coming back from Gold Coast or Queensland, wherever he was, he's made a difference to this side.
Good quality keepers at both ends again today. Chris Ray gets past Boak, little shirt pull. Might get himself a card here. Joe Boak. Nathan Shakespeare says no more. To the right fullback. Itulu, Olympic, get on with it. Kelly. But lethargic in his ball forward.
It's all too slow, isn't it, Russ?
Tis at the moment. Kelly can to inject a bit more pace if he can. Popovic finds Dominici, was brought down, Nick Popovic. Free kick in a dangerous position. I think Dominici was thinking about going early because Heggie had plenty of space, but he saw better of it now. Chance perhaps to shoot from this range with the sun?
Not sure, Russ. I almost think Stephen might have wanted the advantage to go on there because that was unfolding for Olympic, and they had actually drawn out a few Woden players, and it was one of the few times they'd actually got a bit of a combination happening with one or two passes.
Tall timber at the far post. Stephen Dominici over the ball.
Maybe Lindstedt, I think.
Does he go sneakily around the wall here, or does he go towards the far post? He swings it towards goal. There's a bit of both. The keeper's fumbled it, and Popovic couldn't take advantage.
Yep, wasn't a badly worked free kick. Always difficult for a keeper to pick those ones up, and any bobbles. You have a number of players bearing down on you.
It's a good spot to put it in, isn't it? Didn't quite have the pace though. Boak squeezes it through. McEwen. Selden back with us, and all good. And that's a ball forward for Anderson to get in behind here. Support slow in coming, but it's there now. Barisic on the far post, pulls it back. Southam was in the right place for Canberra Olympic. Looked quite dangerous on the occasions they managed to get down the flanks on both sides.
Yeah, it's the deep runs from the Woden midfielders that are creating the issues there. So Anderson's come from behind players to get through that line, keep himself onside, and it's always a difficult run to pick up.
Blaslovsky goes back to Fields. Dummy from Boak. And a chance for Selden down the middle here. Jay Selden's got goal side opportunity. Snuffed out by some good defending from Michael Southam.
Very well defended, Michael Southam there. He was one-on-one and obviously on a yellow card as well. And a short corner played from Woden, and they've got a 2v1 here.
Up in the ante at the moment, the Wanderers. Selden dancing his way into the area, fires it across goal. Larkin gets a foot on it, comes out for Anderson, couldn't get his head over the ball. But looking strong in attack, Woden-Weston Wanderers.
Yeah, it's been a good period now for Woden. I think Olympic probably territorially had the best of it in the first 15-20 minutes, but these last sort of 10-15 odd, Woden have definitely come into the game a bit more and actually threatening the goal of Rory Larkin more than Olympic are threatening the Woden goal.
Ray forced away from goal. Anderson takes over in midfield. Started the game quite brightly, the opening half hour. Roy Anderson wasn't happy with that decision though.
I think it caught him at the end. Interesting, isn't it? Throw the ball away. In previous years we'd see that be a yellow card. Now it's probably not as policed as speaking to the referee where you get 10 minutes.
Is it 10 minutes for dissent by action as well as dissent by word?
Open to interpretation, I believe. I don't know.
The referees usually watch this so they can let us know. Popovic has it for Olympic and he tries to slide it through for Dominici. Too strong for Fields. So Dominici turns back on that left and he had runners to the right. Popovic and Ihegi wanted it. And a little bit selfish there from Dominici, but he couldn't blame him.
Yeah, no, Popper was coming into the box and Sosa was available as well. I thought it might have caught a deflection on the way out, but obviously not. It's been called a goal kick.
Difficult to argue with a player who has 131 goals and 140 NPL matches. I'm sure Nick Popovic would have an argument with him there.
Those two get on pretty well. And yes, it is definitely dissent by action or word, Russ, we've been told.
Well, it's a free kick. Jay Kelly's clipped the heels.
He's a bit
of
stiff
Mate
there because I actually thought Jay was in front of Mate there, and Mate's clipped Jay's heels from
Yeah, it's coming together, wasn't it? McEwen's got on with it quickly anyway. De Silva was on the far post. Rayback helping defensively. Boak can't keep it in play.
That's good work.
So 10 minutes in the bin for dissent by word or action.
Or poor commentary. Or
Officially.
Yeah.
Unless you're already on the bench like Danny McCall was yesterday. And then you don't have to sit down. One of your favourite rules, Frank? Paisley in midfield. De Silva.
Get that. Could you try again?
What's going on there?
Is that the person that's... Can you tell your masseuse?
Just a random bit of Siri in the background.
She's just saying if you want your grapes peeled, that's all. And if it's Chardonnay this afternoon or we're going red.
The Heggie in behind here. Lejeune's come. He's not got there. Chance for a Heggie, but De Franceschi was covering for Woden-Weston. Just a bit of a misjudgment there from Willem Lejeune, and Heggie showing his pace to get in behind.
Russ, I know we've spoken about the 10-minute rule and the sin bin and whatever else, and we'll probably talk about this just a little bit after this corner. I just want to make a point. There's something that around that rule and how, not so much how it's administered, but just the intent.
Well, it is a set piece again for Olympic. They've had 3 or 4 now. To flutter delivery into the area, and it's bounced across the 6-yard box, and there was nobody there in a blue shirt to stick out a stud and turn that home. It must have taken a nick off a Wanderers player, but it was a delicious looking ball in from Dominici, begging to be buried in the back of the net.
And to be honest, the one person you'd probably want chasing that in would be Dominici.
Well, he can have a go from the other side. Stephen Dominici, this will be an outswinger, of course, with the right foot. Warning signs for Woden from the other side, and Fields pumps that back from whence it came and out for a throw. Not his best delivery. Dominici trying to steal a corner behind the trees. Popovic. Fields to clear up towards Barisic. Brings it down nicely. Looks to give himself a yard of pace and then swing a ball out towards where De Silva was, but Rory Larkin was sweeping. Less than 10 minutes to half time. Still waiting for the first goal. Still waiting for the game ready to click into gear, aren't we?
Yeah. Look, and Russell, I was just going to say to you with the whole sin binning rule, I guess, I think from what I understand, we're probably one of the only NPL competitions or any sort of top level competitions in the world that runs it. I just want to know if we are doing it.
Dominici just tries to find Popovic.
If we are seeing, a decrease in referees copying dissent, because you can't just put a rule in for the sake of putting a rule in. There's got to be an overall objective, I'd suggest. So
it'd be interesting to see what the figures are if they feel. I mean, I guess how would you measure that?
Well, this is. Well, I
guess it'd be anecdotally from referees whether they seem that
to referees and saying, is this a successful rule? It's a bit like the zero tolerance rule that they brought in a few years back. Did that actually cut down people swearing it on the field?
Yeah, it's a good point. It's definitely a rule that's divided opinion.
Yeah, but if you could back it up and show that there's been a decrease in dissent or an increase in referees willing to participate or something that's an overall good for the game, then less and less people will argue the merits.
100%. Canberra Olympic would be happy to know that after 5 of them this season they've copped. Instead wins the header. And we're all for robust debate as well about the game and how it can be improved.
Oh, it's not a criticism. It's basically sort of suggesting... Because the other thing that we've noticed, Russ, even at coaching last year, was the amount of people who got 10 in the bin where there's only 2 or 3 minutes to go in the game.
Yeah, there was a lot of that last year.
You know, it was almost just an excuse to get an early shower because, you know, the game was either won or lost. And they could vent their frustrations knowing that, you know, yeah, there was going to be a ramification, but it was a different sort of yellow card than the normal yellow card.
I saw one last year. I think I was doing it with Steve Forshaw. It might have been Zach Mabry. He conceded the penalty in the 95th minute, got 10 minutes in the bin and effectively served 10 seconds because it was the last kick of the game. And no yellow card, obviously.
Yep.
That must have been the shortest sin bin on record. Chasing the ball down to the river, live on Bar TV Sports. 5 minutes to the break. Bottom 4 final series. 6th versus 7th. 5th versus 8th coming up. Tuggeranong United versus Monero Panthers. 3:45 kickoff on that one. Still awaiting our first goal. De Silva stayed on side here. Chance for him to stretch his legs. Only Barisic in support on the far post. Numbers slow in arriving. One of them is Paisley. Southam with the block. Paisley helps it on its way, and Linstead can clear. McEwen. Barisic. Showing glimpses of his skill that we know he has. Anderson finds Selden. Tracking back from Raids. Found his way back to Selden again. Looking for the shooting angle, and he does hit one goalwards, and a rather unorthodox punch over the bar from Rory Larkin. Yeah,
it was a good shot, pretty much out of nothing. He back to goal, took it out wide and brought it central and turned and shot and brought out a very good save there from Rory Larkin.
Selden and Barisic looking bright for Woden-Weston, as is Roy Anderson and Miguel de Silva. Looking good going forward.
And they're going short again here.
Yeah, Selden's peeled away and found himself a yard on the edge of the box. Will dart to try and find a crossing angle. Boak. Now it comes in towards Vlaslovsky, who was really well placed, and of all the players you might want on the end of that, it's the big fella, and he nods it wide.
Yeah, it was probably an excellent chance, probably if not the chance of the game there, Russ. Just needed to get that on target to ask questions. Big opportunity there for Wyden to take the lead just before half-time.
Doesn't get many goals, Blaise Vlaslovsky, but offers a real threat with his height. They're a tall team, Woden-Weston. Some big players in there. Do their defensive now. Nick Popovic has been flagged offside.
Must have been close.
I did have this chat with Yudi De Silva at the start of the season about how tall his side was. He did mention that it doesn't help if none of them can head a ball. I think it was all a bit tongue-in-cheek.
Yeah, not something that seems to be practiced too much anymore.
Don't see many headed goals, do we?
Unless you're watching Jack Green play.
Luca Flores nodded one in against Tigers last week.
Using his great height.
Yeah, Heggie.
And there was one yesterday, actually. Bogart scored for Belconnen with it.
Phil Bourget, yes, he did.
Bourget.
On his 50th NPL appearance. Yeah. Diving header nevertheless as well on the far post to give Belconnen the lead. Understand Jack Green played the full 90 minutes with an ankle injury yesterday as well. It's swelled up on him after the game. He was packed with ice as we were leaving.
Yeah, he pulled up a bit short, didn't he? Definitely had his the ice pack on.
To see how he recovers ahead of a huge match against Canberra, Croatia next week. Nice 1-2, Ehegi to Popovic. Room here for Isose Ehegi to pick out a ball. Went for the near post towards Ray. Dominici had peeled to the far stick.
It needed to be a better delivery there from Ehegi. He had Dominici in really good area just at the top of the box. And I suppose that's the other thing that sort of shows a little bit where you've got players that aren't used to playing midfield in the midfield, is that there was, you know, it took a fair bit of time to get Lusser and Dylan anywhere near that top of the box area.
Here is Ulrich. Dominici. Popovic. Itulu. Dominici. Nice move this. Popovic tries to force his way between two players. Paisley and Di Francesco there. It's a good ball forward as well for Barisic to get away briefly, but Jay Kelly's got good speed in the boots. Anderson driving into the box. Going to flick it towards the run of Selden. Comes out for Paisley. Vlaslovsky.
That's really well defended there from Jay Kelly. He's
McEwen, little turn of pace from him, ball in towards De Silva, and are coming together in the penalty area. Not sure that Miguel De Silva really attacked that ball with any real thought of getting it.
Those two boys came with me to Korea in 2012, Russ. Miguel De Silva and Jordan Keisha, representing Monero, in fact.
De Silva certainly played more of Keisha than the ball. Ulrich in midfield. Into the final 30 seconds or so of the first half. Is there going to be a goal before the break? It's all seemed a little bit lackadaisical, really, hasn't it? And a bit careless from both sides in certain aspects.
Yeah, the little combination that Dominici and Popovic played only just before the that last Woden attack was probably the first signs of anything of that ilk, the whole half, Russ.
Lindstedt finds Dominici. Aitulu gets away from Paislat. Looks for Chris Ray. He'll take on Boak again into stoppage time. Can Ray deliver? He's won his team a corner. Might be the last chance of the half for Olympic to get players into the area. Ely De Silva will be having his side. Don't concede now. Would be a horrible time to go behind.
Is there a good time, Ross?
Never really.
Tell you, Mate Barisic is in a good spot here.
Swung in towards Ehegi, who won the header, but there was a push on Di Franceschi by Ulrich, I believe that was. And Di Franceschi's down as well. I think Ehegi might have taken that off the head of Ulrich as well, who was steaming in behind him. And Di Franceschi obviously landed awkwardly. 3:45 kickoff, Tuggeranong versus Monero coming up in the second half of this one, obviously. Southam beaten in the air by Barisic, who chases his own flick on. Lindstedt. And that'll do it, says Nathan Shakespeare. A half that hasn't really kicked into gear. It's had its moments, but nothing really to write home about at the moment, Frank.
No, not at all. And this is probably what we were not so much worried about, but what we alluded to at the beginning of the game and this whole bottom four series is, you know, how do these players get up and how do the coaches motivate them to give us something of interest here? And like I said, it seems like a post-season friendly. It's played at that pace, and it's just, yeah, it's sort of petered out, I guess. And but for a few mistakes that created opportunities, there wasn't much, you know, anything exceptional out there that sort of suggested that you're in for, you know, something to really look forward to in the second half. Let's hope that changes. Yeah,
it's had its moments, but it's just not had enough of them so far for the neutral. At the break, nothing between the pair. At half-time here at the Riverside, it's Canberra Olympic 0, Woden-Weston 0. Welcome back to the Riverside Stadium for the second half of this bottom four final series clash between Canberra Olympic and Woden-Weston. At half-time, it's 0-0. I'm Russ Gibbs, your commentator, with me, Frank Keisha. And Frank, first half didn't really hit the heights. Probably needs a goal, doesn't it?
It does. Probably needs 2 or 3, to be honest, Russ. And this is, I guess, what we all thought coming into these final four matches for the bottom four is how teams will lift and what will motivate them to get their best performances out. And probably the biggest, one of the things that we've spoken about, Russ, is once these 3 games are finished and there is a top 2 in this bottom 4, how many of these guys actually do want to be part of that?
Yeah, that's on Sunday the 27th of September, 11:15 kickoff, I think it is, for that one at Deakin Stadium. You might be around for that one, Frank, maybe?
Maybe.
If you're allowed out on a Sunday. It's going to be a late night on the Saturday, 6 o'clock kickoff for the grand final, 1v2.
I hope those Rosellas
or 3v4.
The lights.
Well, let's hope so.
I was given the full gamut of Marko Brikic's photo album of birds eating wires yesterday.
They had a chomp on the lights. You can see the players from Tuggeranong and Monera out of shot, your shot, coming in to get prepared for their game. Bit ready for the second half, just having a quick glance around. Can't see any changes, Frank, can you?
No, not the Olympic side.
Looks pretty similar for Woden. So Olympic lineup: Larkin in goal, Kelly Linstead, Southam Keisha, Atulu, Ulrich, Popovic, Ehegi, Dominici and Ray. For Woden-Weston, Lejeune, McEwen, De Franceschi, Fields and Boak across the back. Vlaslovsky, Paisler, Anderson midfield, Selden, Barisic and De Silva. The front 3. Clear-cut openings at a premium in the first 45 minutes. Half chances, there were a few. Both coaches were wanting a little bit more from their team in the second half. Jay Selden looking to start on the right notes, and a good ball forward to Barisic. Selden's gone for the return here, and Kelly's got to time his challenge. Quick feet, Jay Selden. Barisic fires one goalwards. Straight into Southam though. Anderson picks up the loose ball.
Looks like he might have copped one in the back of the head there, Anderson.
Woden starting on the front foot. Popovic has it for Olympic though. Advantage played. Keisha finds Ray, who's giving it away here to Jackson Paisler in midfield. Vlaslovsky.
Yeah, both wingers for Olympic have given the ball away cheaply in the first couple of minutes of this second half.
Ball's played in towards Anderson from Barisic. Couldn't quite find the run. Roy Larkin with the cap on to keep the sun out of his eyes. Out towards Ehegi. Flitted in and out of it in the first half. Says to Ehegi.
Lost possession again there. Just interesting to see what his fitness levels are, Russ. We saw him holding his hamstring from the very get-go in that first half. He's managed to last 45.
De Franceschi wide to De Silva. Brought that down with his hand. It's fairly obvious as well. Right in front of Curtis Schaefer on this near side. Nathan Shakespeare's in the middle. Bruno Kell over on the far side. Be the same for 3 officials who take charge of the game afterwards. Bruno Kell comes into the middle. Nathan Shakespeare to the sideline, where Nick Popovic fails to keep the ball in play. Not been a great start to the second half. First 2 minutes for Canberra Olympic.
No, and it's probably one player that you wouldn't expect to miss judge a ball.
We have mentioned it, and it is really difficult for these players to get up for what in essence would be playing for a place in the grand final to finish 5th.
Especially some of these players that have enjoyed a lot of success previously, Ross. Your Popovic's and Dominici's of the game. They've always, the last few years especially, always been thereabouts.
Bit of personal pride on the line though, so it's always that. Vlaslovsky beats Popovic to it. Selden runs into 3 players. Popovic is the one penalised. Selden win early. Tried to get Nathan Shakespeare to give another free kick in the yellow card, perhaps. Didn't quite work out for him. Dominici finds Popovic. Auckland Fields with a strong challenge, but Popovic has it back. Only momentarily, though. Anderson. Barasic. Paisley in midfield. Looks for the run of De Silva. Keisha's back, shadowing. It's been a good battle, that one.
Yeah, like I said, Russ, those two boys were with me in sort of under 12s, under 13s back in 2012.
On opposite sides today, of course. Chris McEwen's best ball. This match 3 of 4 this weekend, and we do it all again next week and the week after. Before we come to the finals. The grand finals, I should say. Big weekend of grand final football. 26th, 27th September. Ihegi steps away from the first challenge.
It's clever there from Stephen Dominici. Just a little flick up, wins the handball.
Still really waiting to see Canberra Olympic get into any sort of tempo. It's been played at such a slow pace. Matulu finds Popovic. Raft of changes, as you mentioned, Frank, doesn't help. Southam finds Linstead. Kelly. It's a bit better. Itulu. Try to force his way past Anderson. Didn't quite work for him. Selden's touch is neat. Paisley's turn is good as well, but he's twisted himself into a knot, and Popovic can bring it away for Olympic. A wall of Woden-Weston shirts ahead of him. Chris Ray. Popovic. Ray. Keisha. Matsulu. Teased Selden with the ball to Southam. This is a bit better from Olympic. Much neater build-up. Ray's cross comes off the back of Fields. Has it back again, Chris Ray. Lifts it in towards Popovic. Real chance for Nick Popovic, and he buries it. Took it really well, flicked it up to himself and thrashed it past William Lejeune. And with their first real concerted attack of the second half, Canberra Olympic are in front.
And Russ, first time in a long time that we've seen Olympic string together 5 or 6 passes, 1-2 touch passes that actually looks like the old Olympic that we've seen under Robbie at the beginning of the season. It was a good little work, good little move down the left hand side. Popovic, Keisha, and Chris Ray involved. Decoy run round the outside of Chris Ray allowed him to cut inside. Clever little ball clipped into Nick Popovic. Probably didn't get his lines right the first time, but the second time I'm asking, he's just taken advantage, and 1-0 Canberra Olympic. Well done, Nick Popovic.
Noticeably, when they added a little bit of pace to the attack, they found a way through. Now, what have Woden-Weston got in response?
And if anything, this will lift both teams, Russ. Woden, hopefully they'll lift their intensity, and it might give some of the younger guys at Olympic a bit more confidence and actually show them that if they do play and play quickly, the opportunities will come.
Well, we mentioned the game needed a goal. It's got one. Can Olympic build on this, or can Woden-Weston restore parity? Boak with a header. De Silva wasn't quite sure where the ball was. Itulu was. Looked for Dominici.
Yeah, that's probably gone up into the sun, I think, Russ.
4 goals in 8 games for Nick Popovic. And his quarter century in NPL goals. That's come off his hands. 25 in 54 games. Has scored now 3 in the last 4, if you count the goals that were in the suspended match, in the game that was forfeited. Scored in the 4-1 loss to Tigers, scored in the 3-3 draw with Gungahlin, and has now netted here. Lejeune looks for De Silva. Came off the back of Jordan Keisha, that one. Gives Woden-Weston a chance to send some players forward. Looking for the equaliser. Selden's trying to nip him behind here, and he has. But illegally, says Nathan Shakespeare. Signals a little tug on the shirt of Michael Southam, who looks quite relieved.
Yeah, I think that's where you get the term 6 of one, half a dozen of the other, isn't it, Russ? I think they were both sort of at it.
Well, it would have been a question had Selden gone down there.
Yeah, absolutely. And it was Mate Barisic making way there.
Martin Deng coming on. Very experienced player.
Yeah, so Michael Southam in the box there, one-on-one with Selden from the throw-in. Already on a yellow as well, Russ. That could have been disastrous almost.
It's a chance for Woden-Weston. Anderson in the middle. Ball spread wide. My apologies, it's for Kenny Manda.
Yeah, it didn't look like...
Wasn't on my list, and he snuck in on the corner. Late inclusion into the 16 today for Kenny Manda. Lindstedt comes wide. No doubt he'll add plenty of urgency and energy to this Woden-Weston attack. Heggie steps away nicely and can stretch his legs. Two Woden-Weston shirts in front of him though. Popovic into the area. And it's going to come for De Silva. Boak.
Needed
Just loose.
Yeah, it needed to be better there. They worked themselves out of a real sort of corner there and just let off the hook with some poor technique. Russ, this is something we spoke about yesterday, and with good ball players dropping deep to get the ball now. You can see Popovic doing it. We saw Haptimerium do it yesterday as well for Gungahlin, and Kyle Pataldo's another one that does it for Deacon for Canberra, Croatia. So
Selden's got a sniff of this, and Lindstedt was happy to cover. That's come off the head of Laszlowski to Popovic, who's helped it on its way towards Dominici. Should be easy for Lejeune. Samander's popped straight into the position which Barisic was occupying.
Stephen Dominici looks like he might have pulled up a bit short there too, Russ.
Di Franceschi with the ball forward. Good pick of De Silva, who's seen the run of Paisler. Got himself in a muddle shortly, but he swung it into the penalty area. It's going to come to Manda on the far post. Tees it up for Selden. And the block by Daniel Lindstedt. Threatening attack for Woden-Weston.
Interesting one, wasn't it? He couldn't get the ball out of his feet, and eventually just managed to turn and was found himself in space. But the game has seemed to step up a little bit since the goal, Russ, which is fortunate.
Manda with the set piece. Selden went short, which I've done a couple of times. Manda goes into the area. Wasn't his best. Dominici on his own. De Franceschi's headers only found Dominici, and tracking back was Miguel De Silva. Helping out defensively.
Yeah, good tracking there from Miguel De Silva. Dominici actually did really well to win that 2-on-1.
Anderson. Manda pushes it back towards Anderson. And Lindstedt, who's in the main defended strongly this afternoon. He said he had to stand up as the leader of that back four, the most experienced player in it, and he's done so far.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Jay Kelly's got a lot of experience, but not so much as a right back. So, yeah, it's a big opportunity now for Daniel to stake a claim as one of those senior players in the club. He's new to the club, so yeah, you don't get that many opportunities to do those sort of things. It's a good ball.
Popovic. Dominici's peeled away, and if he stayed on side here, which he has, it's a chance for Olympic. Up against Boak. Flick of the boot to Chris Ray, and nodded clear by Di Franceschi. Manda did his best to keep it in play, but couldn't quite stretch the legs to get there.
It's probably taking a bit of a shape of the same as the first half, where Olympic were a bit more dominant in the first 15-20 minutes, and then Woden replied in kind in the last 20-odd minutes of that first half. So interesting to see what happens now, Ross.
I think you summed it up there, Frank. It's got the feel of a friendly about it, hasn't it? A pre-season one, or just there's no atmosphere here. There's obviously limited fans allowed in the ground, and it's difficult to get the players up for a game in which there's really not a lot riding on it. Manda's got pace. Linstead just sees him off. Return to Woden-Weston this season for Keddy Manda after having a year off.
Was that just a sabbatical, Russ, or did he go somewhere? Or
Not entirely sure, to be honest. But I know they like him in this club, and his attitude's pretty good. Here's a Heggie looking to dig something out. I think it's gone out of play there. Fits in nicely into the culture as well for Keddy Manda, alongside this group of Woden-Weston players.
And I think that's critical to Woden's success going forward, Russ, is under Yulia Silva. Like I said, the players seem to be thriving. There's obviously a good culture there. There's a buzz about them. So if they can find like-minded players that fit into that sort of set of values that they've set up, then all for it.
He's done well here as well, Manda, and then swept a ball towards De Silva. But unfortunate.
I'm not sure if that was intended to be swept over to De Silva, but
Came off the side of the boot, didn't it?
Absolutely.
If it was a sweet pick out. Jay Kelly uses his pace. Popovic looked for the flick. Di Franceschi wasn't fooled. Quarter of an hour gone in the second half. Canberra Olympic lead through Nick Popovic's goal. Classified as the home side today, Canberra Olympic. So judging by the changing facilities, they get the field.
they get to bring the match balls. Apparently, that's a one of it. So they get to lose 3 balls in the river.
Interesting concept that we're here for the bottom 4 tournament for 3 weeks. Ulrich, nice skill from him, gets it onto the left foot but couldn't get any pace on the shot after showing some nifty footwork.
He's actually got a very good technique, Lars. So he's a big smile on his face at the moment.
Here's a race. Larkin's got there ahead of Selden. Ray broke that down nicely. Worked himself the space really well, didn't he, with a couple of little drag backs?
Look, he's got some very good technique, and he's a very good player. So in a one-on-one situation like that, he was I guess I could hear Popovic and Dominici sort of encouraging him to go forward.
Di Franceschi finds Vlaslovsky. Manda.
An extra number out on the right-hand side here, Woden.
Anderson. Thought about coming this way, then twists and turns and gets himself away from Jay Kelly, who's down, holding his knee. Manda's playing on. Chance for Woden-Weston to deliver something in the area. Jordan Keisha saw it coming. Dylan Latulu's down as well now. And so Heggie kicks it out of play. There's 2 Olympic players down. I think Jay Kelly got twisted in knots by Roy Anderson.
I thought Jay Kelly was holding his face. I thought he might have caught maybe a stray elbow or something. Dylan Atolu is probably more the leg injury. I'm not sure if Michaela Day can do much with Jay there.
Michaela Day, who
was
the Tigers physio earlier today.
Dylan's already taken off a sock and a boot, Russ.
He doesn't look in good shape. The options for Robbie Catanage, of course, Bailey Sorensen, David Carter, Kel Brown and Tim Bobulus. Everyone taking the chance to have a drink. It's about drinks breaks time, wasn't it? When that was in the Premier League?
In the Premier League, yep. That starts again next week.
Feels like it hasn't been away. Well, last year didn't happen, did it? So we can just wipe that one from the history books. No one needs to know anything about that.
Yeah, just wait for Theo Papanikolaou's comment.
Behind closed doors, no fans. Didn't happen.
Didn't really happen.
No. Fans are back now in some numbers in the UK, weren't they? There was a Chelsea-Brighton friendly that had some fans in the stadium.
The Chelsea are fans.
I think they're all Brighton fans.
Okay, okay.
But it's good to see some fans back.
Tim Bobolus on Russ.
Into that fullback position. So Kelly.
Yeah, I think Jay's copped a stray one because he's washing his face there. I think it might be a bit of a blood nose.
So is Otulu left us or has Kelly left us?
No, I think Atulu's off. Kelly looks like he's be coming back on. It's almost a change that we suggested before where we thought Sosa might come off. But he hasn't rejoined yet, Jay Kelly, but none of the other three substitutes look like they're anywhere near.
No, Otulu's giving himself up, isn't he? Taking his shoe and socks off, as you said, his boots and socks.
You limit yourself to if you've only got one sock on and one boot.
Selden, who's been busy all afternoon, finds Anderson. Looks for the return. He might get in here, Jay Selden. Not much in the area. Manda switched wings. Selden does well. Finds Anderson. Vlaslovsky was square. Found Paisley, but it petered out that move. Promised much. Vlaslovsky.
Nearly an auspicious start there from Tim Bobolus. 1-on-1 in the box.
Yeah, so Kelly definitely copped something on the face, didn't he? He is getting treatment for that blood nose. Purely accidental. Southam sends it forward. Dominici brings it under control, but is forced to go backwards in order to come forwards. Nice reverse flick. Finds Jordan Keisha. First time he's really got himself forward this afternoon.
Dominici does that probably better than anyone in the competition. Just 1-on-1 strength, holds it up, brings other people into the game.
Here he is again. Finds Southam. Ray was there. Lasse Ulrich flicks it over the top towards Dominici. Position he loves here. Slides in on Fields, showing the studs unfortunately for Stephen Dominici. So he likes to collect the ball, isn't it though? You always feel that when he gets it in that position something could happen. Yeah,
we found that when he was playing up front in that 9 position, it was so easy for teams to double team him, whereas it's less likely for that to happen when he's playing out wide. He's not the hugest fan of playing out wide, but the ability of him 1-on-1.
Well, Kelly snuck back on and he's straight into the action and he's found Popovic. Jay Kelly came off the sideline into that advanced forward role and nicked the ball away and off he was going, off to the races.
And he'll come into the centre of midfield now, next to Ulrich, I suggest, Russ, and take that spot that was vacated by Dylan Atolu.
De Franceschi with the long ball looking for Manda, who's got there ahead of his marker, and he stepped inside here for Kenny Manda. And then he's left the ball behind with the back heel. I think Selden wanted to defeat. Kelly. Manda, though, makes up for that error by winning it back. And Kelly wins it back for Olympic and off and running again. Taking on Vlaslovsky, who stands strong. Midway through the second half, Nick Popovic's goal, the difference in this one so far, as Canberra Olympic look to start the bottom 4 final series with a win. Coming up, 3:45, myself and Lachlan Roberts, Tuggeranong United versus Monero Panthers. Be interesting to see if that's played at a greater pace. I wonder if the weather's having anything to do with the pace of this game has been played out as well.
I think there's 2 things, Ross. You can see that, obviously there's a number of changes, so there are a number of boys in here that haven't played consistently 90 minutes over the course of the 7 games, and they're starting to fatigue. Added to that, the time of the day, and obviously it is quite warm today. It's beautiful weather, but if you're out there in the sun and playing at sort of 1:30 kickoff, I think it's starting to take its toll on some of these players.
Well, while we are in the commentary position, the shadows are coming over, so not quite getting the warmth we had in the first half. Still a pleasant day though. De Franceschi finds Vlaslovsky. He looked for Jackson Paisley. Keisha was in the way. Ulrich. Bobulus. Tim Bobulus sporting a little wiry moustache today, wasn't he? Bit of facial hair.
I saw it last week, and it's the ugliest thing I've seen on the top of someone's lip. Martina and Jims, can you sort that out? Nick, maybe you have a word to Tim, please.
He thinks it makes him look quite debonair, I think. Here he is defending. Chance for a Woden-Weston, ball into the area, and Southam slices his clearance. Good run again from Anderson.
Yeah, he's posed some threats down that left-hand side, hasn't he, Russ?
Confidence riding high after his brace last week.
Olympic have got the 2 players out there, which is good. Blaze in a good spot.
Variation on a routine here as Selden tried to bend one towards the far post. There's an opportunity for Olympic to get forward, and Stephen Dominici's in space here. Chris Ray is busting a gut to get up in the middle. It's Dominici. Real chance for Olympic to double the lead. Dominici still going off the line. Good cover of defence. It's not away yet though. Popovic dribbling into the area. There's Connor Bill back defending. He's come on. Snuck on before. Swung into the penalty area, and it's nodded clear by Fields. Good chance, that.
Excellent chance there, and I think it was actually pretty well defended from Woden. Chris Ray was the one that looked like he might get on the end of this, but they positioned themselves between Dominici and the ball, and he ended up having to go himself. And Michael Southam's caught one there.
Saw one, isn't it?
Yep, and that's a head injury.
Yeah, when that drinks break, or the pseudo drinks break, well, I guess you call it, we took place, Connor Bill snuck on for Joe Boak. Mickey Day's been busy in the last couple of days.
He's holding his wrist again, Russ.
And maybe Copper saw one in the first half, didn't he?
Yep.
In the same spot. Let's hope that's not too bad for him.
It's amazing how many players have actually got out with or had injuries with wrists so far this year. We've got Rocco Stricker out, Canavesio from Tigers as well.
So what you're saying was that was handball, not picked up by the referee?
That's what you're saying. I thought he copped it in the head.
That's okay, we're not up here for our physio skills. I thought Jay Kelly had a knee injury.
On his nose.
On his nose, yeah. Di Franceschi. Bobulus wins the header. Connor Bill does likewise for Woden-Weston. Keisha. Ray. Amanda too strong. Nice feed as well, but then runs into Kelly. And the combination of the pair of them momentarily dispossessed the Wanderers. Vlaslovsky exchanging passes with Selding and getting him in behind, and that's a decent ball across field. Real chance here for De Silva. Denied by Rory Larkin. Best chance of the game for Woden-Weston.
Yeah, and Southam rejoined, so 11 v 11. But yeah, they seem to be caught out there with Southam not being in the middle of the defence. Lost the ball here on the left wing, couldn't win it back, and once the exchange of passes happened with Blazowski getting in behind, there was real danger there for Olympic.
Fields finds Manda. Di Franceschi. Woden coming more into the contest with 18 minutes to go. Good touch from Manda, and he can stretch the legs into the area here. Opportunity for Manda, goes down under the challenge. There was a question asked by those in red and black. There was contact with the player, but was there enough to justify a spot kick in the eyes of Nathan Shakespeare? The answer obviously is no.
Yeah, and legitimate calls there too from Woden-Weston. There was contact. A judge not to be severe enough to award a spot kick there, Russ. So couple of warning signs here from Olympic.
It's taken Woden-Weston a while, hasn't it? But they seem to be getting into it a little bit more now.
It's almost following that pattern of the first half, isn't it, Russ, where Olympic were on top of the first half, and then Woden came home to the better. And I think this is starting to follow the same sort of pattern.
Fields with the free kick. Bobulus with the tidy header at the back.
What this might mean, though, Russ, is as Woden start pushing forward, looking for the equaliser, it may develop some gaps like Stephen Dominici exploited a few minutes ago, where they can maybe get in some pockets of space.
Well, we talked yesterday at length about a draw in the opening game and what that meant to both those sides, and of course, same format here in the bottom four, so same result, I guess. Keeps both sides in a result in the competition if Woden-Weston can get back on level terms.
I think for Olympics it's important to win. And they, like you said, it's been a while since they've gone 4 games without a win. It's been probably even longer since they've gone 5. So they really need to, knuckle down now and see if they can grind this result out.
Pressure on Larkin. Good clearance to find Popovic. And you wonder how many of his walking wounded might be available next week for Robbie Katnach if they do get through this one. Josh Calabria. Not sure what his suspension will be a couple of games.
I think he got 5, Russ.
5, so he's not going to be around. Dominici in midfield. Nick Faust is one of those out injured. Michael Piccolo as well. We're not going to see Daniel Sparrow again this season, of course.
Yeah, I think Faust has torn a hamstring, so I think he'll be out for the rest of the year. I think there's an opportunity there for Piccolo to maybe come back.
He looked like he had a strapping on the calf when he walked past us earlier, didn't he?
Yeah.
Good switch of play from Ulrich. Chance for Bobulus to deliver it towards a Heggie. He's turned away from his man and goes down as well. Big cluster of players, and Assessor Heggie was asking for a penalty with a challenge with Adam Di Franceschi. The decision's gone the other way.
I think the decision went the other way for the Chris Ray challenge on the keeper, but the Heggie one wasn't far off a spot kick either, I think, Russ.
Well, I think he'd done him with the skill, hadn't he?
He did, yeah.
Di Franceschi. There was a coming together again.
I think the ball was just probably too far away. And substitution here, Russ. Nikola Barisic, by the looks of things, coming on.
Yeah, for Jackson Paisler. Had a knee injury. I did talk to him before the kickoff, Nikola Barisic, and he said, depending on the situation, if the game, he might sit this one out in its entirety, but they've given him 15 minutes.
Yeah, so they obviously think they're a chance and they want to chase this equaliser, so Nikola Barisic isn't someone that they'd want to risk for the remaining 2 games unless they thought they had a chance of getting something out of this.
And since his involvement at Woden-Weston, he's made a huge difference in the middle of the park.
And he's an experienced player at NPL level. He's played at Canberra, Croatia for a number of years there. And he spent a bit of time at O'Connor Knights in the NPL2. So he's a seasoned senior player.
Selden chasing into the penalty area. Southam across to defend and concede the corner. Woden in a hurry. Selden finds Anderson into Vlaslovsky on the turn. Lindstedt blocks the shot and Popovic can bring it away, but all he's done is given it straight back to Woden-Weston.
Yeah, I think he's trying to play that with the outside of his foot and find Dominici, but
they sent something here to the Wanderers. Fields battling for the ball. Popovic comes away with it. A cool head in that clustered midfield, and he's earned his side a free kick and the chance to perhaps settle things down a little.
I think he wants to settle things down. There's a few boys who want to take that quick. I think the captain armband sort of wins out there, Russell.
Gone complete mess that between Jay Kelly and Daniel Lindstedt. It's coughed up possession again, and here come the Wanderers with Manda. Chance for him to run at the defence. Vlaslovsky will back heel, almost found its way through. It has found its way to Anderson, and he drives home from the edge of the area. A brace last week against Olympic, another from Roy Anderson, and the equaliser that you felt might be coming has come. Wanderers have made it all square.
Absolutely, Russ, and you can't say it wasn't coming. We'd called it for a little while there. There was some inroads being made there, and then there was the muck-up with the free kick that just presented Woden possession in Olympics half when Olympic had time and space to do whatever they wanted with that free kick. They mucked it up, and the net result is we're now looking at 1-1 with 12 minutes to go.
Roy Anderson waited 12 matches for his first NPL goal. Got 2 last week. Added to it within 90 minutes the following. His 3rd goal of the season. And we're all square.
It's noticeable that Blazlowski has deployed himself a little bit more advanced in the last sort of 10-15 minutes. He's almost playing in a number 9 role, Russ, and it's become a really good focal point for Woden.
Well, Yuli De Silva's side might feel they can win this from here. Keisha finds Ulrich. Dominici. Southam. Ray. Caught late by Barisic. Free kick to Canberra Olympic. Test for their mettle now.
And I was about to say, Russ, it's probably been a while since Canberra Olympic have kept a clean sheet too.
There hasn't been any this season, has there? Another change here. Kel Brown is going to come on for Jordan Keisha. Played 90 minutes yesterday, Kel Brown.
And so he's, like I said, he's one of the juniors that have come through the ranks here at Olympic. He's been at the club since he's, I think, 12 or 13, to be honest, Russ. So, yeah.
The first grade debut.
First grade debut.
Kelly goes short to Dominici, who tries to lift it back to Kelly. Dominici swings it forwards. Southam defending. And Larkin under pressure has only found Manda. Chance here for Woden-Weston with Selden. Manda fires it into Southam. More shouts for penalty. Again, no dice from Nathan Shakespeare.
And no reaction from the assistant referee there, Curtis Schaefer, who would have been in a great position to see that as well, Russ.
Well, 10 minutes to go. Woden-Weston turning the screw somewhat. Can they find a match winner? Scored twice late on last week to win the league game. Selden. Beaten to it by Kelly. Popovic finds Ulrich. Here, Heggie. Runners outside him in the shape of Bobolas if he goes that way, and he does. Blue shirts flooding forward in attack here. And Bobolas can't cross it because Connor Bill was in the way. Olympic suddenly playing with a bit of urgency. Bobolas with the throw. In towards Popovic. Away by Fields. Back to Bobolas again. Southam looks for Brown, and that's played off him by the defender Chris McEwen. Isn't it funny, you watch a game, Frank, in Olympic were ahead for quite some time, and as soon as Woden score, there's all of a sudden urgency, and you wonder where that's been for the last 60 plus minutes.
Yeah, it's a lot to be said around confidence and momentum, Russ.
Vlaslovsky playing in that more advanced role that Frank Keisha noted. McEwen with a header. Kelly. Ray, who's gone more central. Bill beats a Heggie to it. Anderson, whose goal squared matters up, finds Bill. Daniel Lindstedt is doing the defensive work. Kelly helps it on. The flag goes up against Popovic. Free kick to Woden-Weston. Will we have a winner in the final 7 minutes here, or will we start the bottom 4 series the way we started the top 4 series with a draw? Selden looks to slide it through to De Silva. He's in the penalty area here. Miguel De Silva, real chance for the Wanderers, and he's put it over the crossbar. What an opportunity that was.
Absolutely, they were ripped to shreds there. Olympic picked the pass. De Silva's turned inside Lindstedt and only had the goalkeeper to beat. Probably just leaning back a little bit too much on that last shot and just popped it over the top.
Just got a bit excited when he got into the position.
Not dissimilar to the Flores missed chance yesterday, Russ, that after a couple of minutes when Belconnen were playing Gungahlin.
Seemed to have done all the hard work, Miguel De Silva. Popovic nods it on. Dominici will chase. McEwen's back there. Free kick goes to Olympic for the foul on Popovic. Just a reminder, at 3:45 or thereabouts, Tuggeranong versus Monero Panthers. Kelly drives one from distance. It's broken for Selden. Here's a chance on the break for De Silva. Vlaslovsky up with him. De Silva goes it alone and then runs straight into Kelly. Didn't make his mind up early enough, the youngster. Suddenly got very open.
Yeah, you got a very unfamiliar backline there at Olympic at the moment. You got a young guy making his debut. Southland's been out for a couple of weeks. Tim Bobolis has only just come back into the squad. It's an opportunity here for Woden.
Manda flicks it on. Brown wins the header. Ray nods it down to Kelly. Saw one for Nikola Barisic. Dominici. Popovic. Runs into Lachlan Fields. Now Manda, who's looked sharp since he's come on.
Yeah.
Looks to take on Brown, but it's skill to get in.
Welcome to first trade, young man. The only issue that I've got at the moment, again, with Olympic is they're falling back into that trap of not playing those quick passes and those combinations that final third. That's when they were really looking on the ball again in this game. Just seeing it happen too many times that they're going one out.
Manda got in behind Brown and cleverly, when his team in corner knew he wasn't going anywhere, so just played it off the young defender. And a chance for Lachlan Fields to jog forward and join Vlaslovsky and Anderson on the far post. Miguel De Silva's in there too. Miguel De Silva's not perhaps the tallest of players. Selden jinks his way into the area. Gets it back again almost from Manda. Now there might be something on the break for Canberra Olympic with Dominici. Ray's put in a good shift today.
Yeah, he's been a very willing runner, Russ, and like I said to you, he's got a very big engine, and he's very energetic. There's plenty to work with there.
Vlaslovsky, McEwen, Barisic, Anderson's touch, Connor Bill, De Silva, and couldn't squeeze it past Bobolis, but confidence flowing through the Wanderers' veins at the moment. They feel they can win this in the final 5 minutes. Mentioned at the start they were one of the form teams of the competition with 2 wins in a row. Sent wide from Anderson to Manda. Up against Brown again. Into Vlaslovsky. Back towards Manda. Vlaslovsky's touch. And Brown says the car park will do. Woden finishing on the front foot. Chris McEwen tasked with the throw. Manda in the corner. McEwen, can he deliver something? Ball's found its way through to Anderson. He's lined one up again. It's broke for Selden. And in the end, he's got that all wrong. He's got the technique to hit that on target, and he sliced that badly. It's out for a throw.
He could have actually taken a touch there, Ross. He was, because of the deflection, everyone was out of position as far as like the space that he was in. If he brought that down, he was in one-on-one with Rory Larkin.
Oryx found some room in midfield. Not much of it to be playing with at this stage, and Popovic has overhit that by a long way. look a little bit disjointed at the moment, Canberra Olympic, and as you mentioned, the number of changes. Brown and Boblis coming on also. Here's Dominici, and he's tried his luck from a long way out.
Been called back for the handball.
Disappointed if that had dropped in to call that one back.
We would have had it on video, Russ. We'd just change the commentary.
Fields with the free kick into the final 90 seconds of the first match of the bottom four final series. Boblis wins a header and then runs straight into Bill. One of the easiest decisions Nathan Shakespeare's ever had to make.
I don't envy anyone standing under a ball with Tim Boblis closing down on you.
Selden. Vlaslovsky. Opened it up slightly for him and he curls one goalwards and it wasn't too far away. Rory Larkin was perhaps beaten. They want a corner, they've got one. Took a deflection on the way. Almost a match winner from Blaise Vlaslovsky.
And they've still got time. We've got 1 minute before we go into stoppages, Russ. And right on top at the moment, Woden-Weston.
Nikola Barisic will take the corner. They've left three back against Popovic and Dominici. Everyone else in the penalty area. Swung in towards Vlaslovsky, who wins the header, and it bounces up into the hands of Rory Larkin. Olympic want to go early up front towards Ihegi. The bounce takes it through to William Lejeune. Is there one final chance for either side to steal this? Vlaslovsky has looked very good in the forward role.
Big opportunity out on this right-hand side for Woden. Players unmarked, but they've lost the ball.
Coughed up possession in a poor part of the field. Dominici, Popovic. Dominici ambles after it. Two players across as time runs out. Popovic. Barisic concedes the free kick. Bit of a soft one. Popovic seemed to be going nowhere.
Yeah, that's when you'd like to see the young kid try to get on the end of it and ask for some...
Kelly's line one up from range and it was always fading away from goal.
Yeah, so just back on that, that's when you want to see the young guys just try to express themselves and get on the ball as much as they possibly can. Jake Kelly with the shot there, he's got one of the sweetest strikes of the ball that I've seen in a long time at Olympic.
Another free kick. There's a card here. There's that for Boblis. And there's a bit of coming together between the substitute and Selden. And then there's a bit of needless and it's getting out of hand. Barisic has gone launching himself into it as well. And this has sprung out of nowhere, really. And it's all a bit silly. Nathan Shakespeare's got some decisions to make here. Is it Tim Boblis with the initial challenge?
Boblis and then Jay Selden with the reaction and then handbags at full.
Well, there's a yellow card for Boblis, which was the initial. There's another yellow card coming out here, probably for Jay Selden. And there's another yellow card for Nikola Barisic. It is Father's Day, handing out cards left, right and centre.
Oh, have you been waiting for that?
It just comes to me naturally.
You've got that in your notes, I'm sure of it.
4, 2 for each side. Nathan Shakespeare happy to just get out of that melee and let us get on with it.
He's done really well there. He'll probably just blow full time after this free kick too.
Final chance surely. Ball in towards Manda, wins the header. Might come and find its way to McEwen. Rather slices the pass in towards, turned out to a good ball towards Manda, who's done exceptionally well and fizzes it across the 6-yard box. And there was no one there to take advantage. Everyone was just very surprised that Manda got into that situation.
Manda's done really well down this side.
He's done really well since he's come on, hasn't he?
Yeah, he came on. He was on the left-hand side to start off with, and then he's slightly drifted over central, and now he's on the right-hand side, and really starting to cause some issues here down the Olympic left-hand side.
Deep into stoppage time. Ball's lamped forward. 3 minutes of stoppage time played. De Silva. Bill. Well, that's too much for Selden. into the 49th minute of the match. Depends how long Nathan Shakespeare now has decided to add on. Whatever it was, there'll be another minute or so for that little coming together in the middle of the park. Southam at the back for Olympic. Looks Verhege. Di Franceschi's back with him. And Di Franceschi, who's defended well today.
So one last throw of the dice here for Olympic.
Does Tim Bobolas launch this into the penalty area? He's gone across to take it. They've not committed too many to attack here, Olympic. Vlaslovsky back defending. It's going to fall for Popovic. Tried to find Dominici. And the ricochet takes it into the path of Manda. His ball forward to Selden up against Michael Southam, who stands up nicely to the challenge. And that'll do, says Nathan Shakespeare. And as yesterday's top four final series first match ended in a draw, so does this one. And the 1-1 result doesn't do a favour for either side insofar as it gives them a chance to be pushing on for that bottom four final, but keeps them in the competition.
Keeps them in the competition. It was a much better second half, action-wise, I think, Russ, and the intensity lifted. Maybe it does do both teams a favour if it means they miss out on that final. But let's take the positives out of the game. Look, we got a lot of young guys giving an opportunity here today, and that's good to see. So for some of them, they've got an extra, 80, 90 minutes under their belt. For some of them, they've got their debut. So a lot of positives, for both sides. Yuli De Silva probably just underlines the work that he's already done at Woden, getting another result, and that's 3 games at least unbeaten. I guess if you can look at this bottom four series and what you can take away from it, they're some of the things that these two sides can talk about after this game.
Woden-Weston fought their way back into it. They'd beaten Canberra Olympic last week at Melrose. Roy Anderson with a brace on that occasion. It was his goal here that earned his team a point after Nick Popovic had given Canberra Olympic the lead. In the bottom four competition, it's all to play for still, as Olympic and Woden-Weston come away with a point apiece. Stay tuned, because at 3:45 we'll be back for more action. Tuggeranong United versus Monero Panthers. But the Riverside Stadium in match 1, it's all square. Canberra Olympic 1, Woden-Weston 1.